Chapter 5 First Steps, Part 1. The hum of distant machinery lingered in Lucas's mind, even though he stood far from the sterile walls of the laboratory. After 3 years of hiding his powers, of pretending he was just like the others, the chance to walk beyond the facility's gates felt surreal. Yet the open world was disorienting. He hadn't imagined how big it would feel, the sky yawning overhead without end. The air smelled like damp soil and crushed grass, carrying with it a strange mix of freedom and unfamiliarity. Lucas shifted his weight awkwardly, hearing the door behind him hiss shut with finality. For the first time in years, he was alone. Ahead, a winding dirt path led toward a small settlement nestled in the hills, speckled with houses and low buildings. He walked cautiously, each step light, as if the ground might crumble underfoot. People moved casually through the streets, some laughing, some in quiet conversation. Their presence brushed against Lucas's senses like ripples in a pond, each stray thought threatening to disrupt the fragile balance he fought to maintain. He clenched his hands inside his coat pockets, focusing on keeping his mental walls intact. He couldn't afford to lose control out here, not now. By a wooden fence near the edge of the settlement stood a boy, arms folded, his posture easy and self-assured. He was a little taller and stockier than Lucas, maybe 12 years old, with dark hair falling messily over his brow and a grin that suggested trouble, or at least confidence. "Hey," the boy called, his tone direct but friendly. "You new around here?" Lucas paused, measuring the boy from a distance. His instincts told him to be careful, but the boy's easy demeanor didn't trigger the usual alarms. Before Lucas could respond, the boy pushed off the fence, sauntering closer with a relaxed stride. Like someone used to getting his way. Lucas's telepathy flickered on reflex, brushing against the boy's mind, but he felt nothing. No errant thoughts, no emotions. Just silence. The absence startled him, leaving him off balance for a moment. His first instinct was to dig deeper, but he caught himself just in time. Why can't I hear him? The thought nagged at him, unsettling and soothing all at once. "I guess," Lucas muttered, his voice rasping slightly from disuse. The boy didn't seem to notice. "I'm Thomas," he said, flashing a grin. "I go to the school up the hill. You?" "Lucas." The name felt foreign on his tongue, like something borrowed from another life. Thomas nodded, as if that was all he needed to know. "You're from the lab, right? We get kids from there sometimes." There was no pity or suspicion in his voice, only curiosity. Lucas stiffened but kept his expression blank. The urge to ask how Thomas knew and why his thoughts were blocked gnawed at him. But some instincts told him not to push. Not yet. "Yeah," he replied simply. "Cool." Thomas leaned in slightly, inspecting Lucas as if already deciding he liked him. "Standing around here all day is boring. I'll show you the shortcut to town." Without waiting for an answer, Thomas turned and started walking, glancing back only once to make sure Lucas was following. For a moment, Lucas stayed rooted in place, trapped between unease and curiosity. But the easy rhythm of Thomas's stride was oddly reassuring, like a song he wanted to know the rest of. The crunch of gravel underfoot echoed as Lucas fell into step beside him, matching Thomas's pace. Something strange stirred within him, a flicker of warmth he hadn't allowed himself to feel for years. For once, the silence in his mind wasn't heavy. It was almost comforting. He glanced sideways at Thomas, questions swirling beneath the surface. "Who are you, and why can't I hear you?" But he said nothing. For now, the silence between them was enough. A glance at the sun told Lucas he still had time, barely. He'd have to return to the facility before 6, but for these fleeting moments he could pretend he was just a boy walking with a friend. And that was something.